Hi, and welcome back to Reddit Terrible Stories. I told my cousin she's not allowed to use my baby's name for her child. When my husband and I found out we were expecting, we went through the same baby name chaos every new parent experiences. We had a running list on our phones, post-it notes stuck to the fridge, and even a whiteboard in the bedroom where we'd write down contenders. It took months of back and forth, vetoes, and absolutely not reactions before we finally landed on the one. It wasn't a trendy name, but it wasn't old-fashioned either. It had family significance, a nice sound, and most importantly, we both loved it. We decided early on that we'd keep the name secret until the baby was born, just to avoid unwanted opinions. But I made the mistake of telling my cousin Hannah. Hannah and I had been close growing up, though as adults we'd drifted apart. She was always a bit competitive, grades, sports, relationships, but I thought we'd matured past all that. We were both starting families after all. She wasn't pregnant yet, but she and her fiancé were trying, and she seemed genuinely happy for me when I shared our news. One afternoon, while she was visiting, I let the name slip. She gushed over it, saying how perfect it was and how she'd totally use it too if I didn't first. I laughed awkwardly, thinking she was joking, but there was a strange glint in her eye. A month later, she called me, excited. She was pregnant. I congratulated her, and we talked about morning sickness, cravings, all the usual first trimester stuff. But before we hung up, she said it. Oh, and I think we're going to name the baby name. It's just too good to pass up. At first, I thought I'd misheard. You mean the name we're using? I asked slowly. Yeah, she said brightly, as if we were sharing a dessert or a Netflix password. I mean, you don't own it, right? And maybe I'll give birth first. Who knows? It's kind of like a fun race. I felt my stomach twist. That name wasn't just a word. It was the name we'd imagined saying 1,000 times. The name we'd whispered at night while feeling tiny kicks. The name we'd connected to our baby before we'd even seen their face. I told her, as calmly as I could, that I didn't think it was okay for her to use it. She brushed it off with a laugh, saying, "You're overreacting. It's not that serious." But to me it was. It was very serious. That night, I told my husband, and he was furious. She's being ridiculous. We need to shut this down now before she actually puts it on the birth certificate. And that's when I realized this wasn't just about a name. This was about boundaries. The next morning, I called Hannah. I figured it was better to be direct before this spiraled into some petty family feud. I told her, I'm not comfortable with you using the name we picked. It's special to us, and we chose it for our child. I'd like you to respect that. Her reaction was immediate and defensive. Wow, okay. Didn't realize you were going to be so territorial. It's just a name. People name their kids the same thing all the time. Yes, I said, trying to keep my voice level. But usually it's not your cousin knowingly copying the name you've already chosen. This isn't random. You heard the name from me. You weren't even thinking about it before, she scoffed. I probably would have come up with it eventually. You're not the first person in history to like it. I could feel my patience thinning. I'm asking you as family not to take it. You can choose literally any other name. Maybe you should have kept it to yourself, she shot back. You told me, so now I like it. That's not my fault. It was like arguing with a brick wall. She wasn't listening, just twisting everything I said. I told her we'd talk later and hung up before I lost my temper. That evening, I got a text from my Aunt Hannah's mom. Why are you making a big deal about the baby name, she wrote. It's not like your kids will be in the same class or anything. Let her be happy. So now Hannah had clearly gone running to her mom, spinning the story to make me look like I was being selfish. My husband suggested we stop discussing the name with anyone else entirely. We just won't talk about it again, he said. If she tries to pull something, we'll deal with it then. But a week later, Hannah made an announcement on Facebook. She posted an ultrasound picture with a caption that included our baby's name. Can't wait to meet little name this December. My phone exploded with messages from friends and family congratulating her on her name choice. Some even joked, "Didn't you say you liked that name too?" What a coincidence. It didn't feel like a coincidence. It felt like theft, public theft. And now if we still used it, we'd look like we copied her. I knew then this was going to be a fight. The moment Hannah's Facebook post went live, my phone was buzzing nonstop. My mom texted me first. "Did you see what Hannah posted? What is going on?" I replied with a short, "Yes." She took the name. My mom sent back an emoji that was half shocked, half angry, followed by, "We need to talk before Sunday dinner." Then came the messages from my other cousins. Some were sympathetic. "That's low. She totally stole it," while others tried to smooth it over. "It's just a name. Maybe you're overthinking this." And then, of course, there was the infamous family group chat. I had barely opened my phone when I saw Hannah's message to everyone. "We're so excited to name our little one. Name." Funny story, my cousin mentioned it months ago, and I fell in love with it instantly. She even added a laughing emoji, as if this was some cute shared moment instead of blatant name theft. Before I could type a reply, my aunt chimed in, "Yes, Hannah has always loved that name, even before she was pregnant." That was a flat-out lie, and I had the text to prove it. I sat there staring at my phone, torn between going full nuclear or trying to keep it civil. My husband leaned over and whispered, "Don't start a fight in the group chat. It'll get ugly fast." But then one of my uncles wrote, "Wait, isn't that the name you guys picked for your baby?" Hannah quickly replied, "Oh, I think she was just brainstorming names back then." It wasn't official. That was the last straw. I typed, "No, it was official. We've had that name chosen since last year. I told you about it in confidence, and now you're using it. That's not okay." The chat immediately exploded. My aunt defended Hannah, saying I was being possessive. My mom jumped in, saying I had a right to be upset. A couple of cousins sent gifs of people eating popcorn, which did not help. By the end of the night, the group chat had basically split in two Team Me and Team Hannah. And while I didn't want to turn this into an all-out family feud, it was already heading there. Hannah didn't message me directly again, but she kept posting subtle digs on Facebook. Names aren't owned by anyone. People need to stop being so dramatic over baby names. Our baby will have the perfect name, no matter what anyone says. Every post was a little dagger, and I could feel my blood boiling each time. My husband finally said, "There's one way to end this. Just pick a different name and avoid all this drama." But in my mind, that would mean letting her win, and I wasn't about to do that. By the end of the week, I had decided I wasn't going to let this fester quietly anymore. Hannah and I had danced around the situation in the group chat, but I wanted a direct conversation, no more passive-aggressive posts or third-party comments. So I called her. She answered after the third ring, her voice overly sweet, like she'd been expecting me. "Hey, cousin, what's up?" I didn't waste time. "You know exactly why I'm calling. We need to talk about the name. Need to..." There was a pause, then she said, "Oh my God, you're still on about that? I thought we'd moved past it." "We haven't," I said flatly. "You took the name I told you was for my baby. That's not something you just move past." Hannah laughed like I was telling a joke. "You're acting like you copyrighted it or something. You can't own a name, and it's not like our kids will be in the same grade or anything." "What's the big deal?" "The big deal is that I trusted you," I said, my voice tightening. You smiled, nodded, told me you loved the name, and then you claimed it for yourself. Her tone shifted from amused to defensive. "Okay, but I'm the one who's due first. It makes sense for me to use it now. You'll have time to find another one." That was when I decided to stop being polite. "No, Hannah, I'm telling you right now, you need to pick a different name. If you don't, I'm still using it. I don't care if our kids end up with the same name, but everyone will know you stole it." And there was a sharp inhale on her end. "Wow. So you're threatening me?" "I'm giving you a choice," I said. "You can avoid this turning into a family-wide embarrassment by choosing something else. Or you can keep it and live with everyone knowing the truth." She scoffed. "You think anyone's going to care in 10 years? "Oh, they'll care next month at your baby shower," I replied. "Especially when I show the text messages from last year with me telling you the name first." That finally seemed to hit a nerve. "You wouldn't dare," she said. "Try me," I said, and hung up before she could answer. I felt a strange mix of adrenaline and guilt after the call. On one hand, I'd drawn a line in the sand. On the other, I knew this could spiral badly, and I was already dreading Sunday dinner with the family. But I also knew one thing for sure. I wasn't backing down. Sunday dinner at my aunt's house was always a loud, chaotic event. Kids running between the table legs, uncles arguing about sports, my grandmother shouting over everyone to be heard. Normally, it was the kind of noise that made me feel connected to the family. This time, it felt like walking into a lion's den. When I arrived, I saw Hannah sitting at the far end of the table, hand on her pregnant belly, beaming as if she were the glowing star of the evening. I noticed she deliberately avoided eye contact with me. The tension was almost physical. I could feel it humming in the air, but I kept my face neutral. I had a plan. I wouldn't bring it up unless she did. I didn't want to look like the aggressor in front of everyone. Dinner went on as usual until dessert. That's when Hannah's mom, my Aunt Lisa, suddenly said, "We're so excited for Hannah's little girl, and her name is just perfect. You all are going to love it." I froze mid-bite, already knowing what was about to happen. Hannah smiled sweetly and announced, "We've decided to name her." She paused dramatically. "Isla Rose." My fork clinked against my plate. Isla Rose. My baby's name. "Oh, what a beautiful name," my grandmother exclaimed, while a few cousins murmured in agreement. I sat there for a beat, my pulse in my ears, before I said loudly enough for the whole table to hear, "Yeah, beautiful." Almost like I didn't come up with it a year ago. The table went silent. Heads turned toward me. Hannah's smile faltered. "Excuse me?" she said, her voice tight. "You heard me," I said calmly. "I told Hannah that name when I was barely pregnant. She loved it so much, she decided to use it herself. Since she's due first." Aunt Lisa's face turned pink. "Oh, I'm sure it's just a coincidence." "It's not," I interrupted, pulling out my phone. "Here's the text from last year. Isla Rose, I love it." And here's Hannah's reply. "OMG, that's perfect for you." I angled the phone so anyone who wanted could read it. Gasps and murmurs spread around the table. Hannah's jaw tightened. "You're seriously making this a scene right now?" "You made it a scene when you announced it like it was your idea," I said. "I warned you I wasn't letting this slide." She muttered something under her breath, and the conversation quickly shifted, but the damage was done. Everyone knew. The rest of dinner was painfully awkward. People kept stealing glances between us, clearly wondering who was in the wrong. When I got home, my phone was already buzzing with texts from cousins taking sides, from my aunt accusing me of ruining the evening, from my mom telling me I could have handled it privately. But honestly, I didn't regret it. For the first time, I felt like Hannah understood I wasn't afraid to call her out. By Monday morning, the fallout from the family dinner had spilled onto social media. It started with a vague Facebook post from Hannah. "Some people can't be happy for others without making it all about themselves. Sad." It didn't take a genius to know who that was aimed at. Within hours, a handful of her friends and a couple of our more distant cousins had commented things like, "Ignore the drama. You and your baby deserve nothing but happiness." And "Haters gonna hate." I ignored it at first. But then Hannah posted a picture of herself holding up a tiny pink onesie that said, "Hello, my name is Isla." The caption read, "Counting down the days until we meet our sweet Isla, Rose can't stealth this love." That one set my blood boiling. I didn't comment publicly. I wasn't about to start a war on her turf. But I did take a screenshot and sent it to my best friend Mia. She immediately replied, "Girl, she's taunting you." Exactly. And if Hannah wanted to play petty games, I could play them better. That afternoon, I posted an Instagram story of my own. It was a picture of the baby's room I'd been working on, a soft, dreamy space with rose-colored curtains and a wooden sign over the crib that said, "Isla Rose." I added the caption, "Some names are worth protecting." I knew she'd see it. I knew she'd lose her mind. And I was right. 10 minutes later, I got a furious text from her. "Are you seriously trying to claim a name like you own it? You don't get to tell me what I can call my child." I responded, "You don't get to steal something I told you in confidence." And yeah, I can choose to keep my kid's name from being ripped off. She replied with 3 rolling eye emojis and then blocked me. I thought maybe that would be the end of it. But the next day, my mom called and said, "I just talked to Aunt Lisa. She says Hannah is heartbroken that you're attacking her online." I laughed bitterly. "Heartbroken? She's the one parading my baby's name around like it's a trophy she won in a competition she started." Mom sighed. "Look, I know you feel wronged, but the family's really talking about this now. People are saying you're being territorial over something you can't technically own. I don't care if I own it legally, I said. I own it emotionally. I came up with it for my child, and I told her in trust. She's violating that. What I didn't tell my mom was that I wasn't planning to just roll over and watch Hannah win. I had one last card to play, and it involved making sure that even if she used the name, it would never mean the same thing to anyone else. By midweek, the name dispute had officially become the juiciest gossip in the family group chat. I wasn't in that chat anymore. Hannah had removed me. But word trickled back to me through my cousin Rachel, who thrived on playing both sides. Okay, so don't shoot the messenger, Rachel said over the phone, her voice dripping with faux sympathy. But Hannah's been telling everyone that you're obsessed with her pregnancy and jealous that she's having a girl before you. I laughed so hard I nearly dropped my tea. Obsessed? Jealous? She's literally naming her baby after mine. Rachel sighed. She's framing it like you're gatekeeping a name, and that's not playing well with some people. Let me guess, I said. Those some people are her friends who wouldn't know the truth if it hit them in the face. Rachel hesitated. Well, Aunt Lisa agrees with her. That one stung, but I brushed it off. Good to know who I won't be inviting to my baby shower. After that call, I decided I couldn't just let Hannah control the narrative. If she wanted to play the victim, I'd make sure people saw the full story, whether she liked it or not. I typed out a carefully worded post on my private Facebook, one that couldn't be called petty or mean, but left zero doubt about who I was talking about. When you share something special in confidence with someone you trust, and they use it for themselves without even asking, it's a reminder that not everyone respects boundaries. I will always protect my baby's name, my ideas, and my peace. The post blew up in my little circle likes, supportive comments, even a few DMs from relatives who guessed exactly what I meant and assured me they were on my side. That night, Rachel messaged me again. Hannah saw your post. She's furious. She says she's definitely still naming the baby Isla, just to prove you can't bully her. Oh, so now I was a bully? Fine. If Hannah wanted to see bullying, she was about to get a masterclass in the art of making someone regret their choices without ever raising my voice. The next morning, I ordered something online that would change everything. Custom baby announcement cards with the name Isla Rose, printed in gorgeous gold script. But here's the twist. They weren't for my baby. They were for Hannah's friends, coworkers, and acquaintances. And inside each one, I planned to include a note explaining, politely, of course, exactly how she'd gotten that name. If she wanted to name her baby after mine, I'd make sure everyone knew whose idea it was first. The package with the custom cards arrived 3 days later, and I swear opening it felt like unwrapping a weapon of mass, petty destruction. They were beautiful, thick ivory cardstock, shimmering gold lettering, delicate floral borders. At the top, in a font so elegant it could make a grown woman cry, was the name Isla Rose. Underneath, I'd added the phrase, a name chosen with love and meaning, long before she was born. The genius of it was that I never once claimed these were my baby's announcement cards. They simply existed, a little breadcrumb trail for anyone curious enough to ask questions. I spent an entire evening addressing envelopes. I wasn't sending them to every single person in Hannah's life, just the ones who mattered most to her image. Her yoga instructor, her book club friends, her boss, that one mom she constantly tried to impress at the park, all the people she wanted admiration from. My plan was simple. These people would receive the cards, assume I had already publicly claimed the name, and then, when Hannah's announcement eventually came out, they'd either be confused, or they'd see it for what it was. Rachel caught wind of my scheme halfway through my stuffing envelopes. You are diabolical, she whispered over the phone, equal parts horrified and impressed. I'm not being mean, I said. I'm just making sure the truth gets there first. She's the one who wanted to compete. Yeah, but this is like a PR campaign, Rachel said. You're basically running a name war election. Exactly, I replied, sealing another envelope with a satisfying press. 2 days later, the cards were out in the wild. The reactions started trickling in almost immediately first, as confused Facebook posts, wait, didn't OP say she wasn't due for months? Then, as a private messages to me asking if the name was official, I responded to each one the same way. Yes, Isla Rose has been our chosen name for a long time. We're so excited to share it. By the end of the week, the damage was done. Rachel reported back that Hannah had shown up to brunch with her friends, announced her baby's name, and gotten hit with a wall of awkward silence. Someone even asked her point blank, "Oh, isn't that the name OP picked ages ago?" She turned red, Rachel said, barely able to get the words out through her laughter, like tomato red. Then she mumbled something about names being for everyone and changed the subject. I leaned back in my chair, feeling a satisfaction so deep it could have been bottled and sold as a luxury good. But then Rachel added, "Oh, and now she's saying she might change the name because she doesn't want people thinking she copied you." That was the moment I realized I'd already won. I didn't expect her to actually change the name. Honestly, I thought she'd stick to her guns out of stubborn pride. But apparently the embarrassment of being called out publicly, no less, was enough to push her over the edge. Within a week, Rachel sent me a screenshot from Hannah's private Instagram story, a pastel pink nursery wall decal reading Aurora May, Aurora May. Not a bad name at all, but considering Hannah had spent months waxing poetic about Isla Rose, the switch was basically an admission of defeat. The group chat lit up like fireworks when the screenshot dropped. "Oh my God, she actually changed it," typed Rachel in all caps. "Congratulations, you're the reigning name queen," added another cousin, who'd been following the drama with popcorn in hand. I didn't post anything about it, partly because I didn't want to look smug, but mostly because I didn't need to. The people who mattered already knew, and the people who didn't, well, they just see two cousins with different baby names, no big deal. At least that's what I thought. 2 weeks later, Hannah texted me out of nowhere. The message was long, rambling, and clearly written while she was still emotional. She accused me of manipulating the family into thinking she was a copycat, claimed I'd sabotaged her baby name choice, and said I'd made her feel like she couldn't even name her own child without permission. I read it twice before responding. "You could have named your baby whatever you wanted, Hannah, but you picked a name you knew was mine. That's not on me." She didn't reply. A month later, both of our babies were born, hers first, mine second. She posted photos of Aurora May swaddled in a floral blanket, looking adorable and blissfully unaware of the petty war her mother had waged on her behalf. My own announcement came shortly after, featuring my daughter, my Isla Rose, in a soft cream dress, the gold-lettered name sign hanging above her crib. The comment section on both posts was telling. Two beautiful girls with beautiful names, some said. Others, though, couldn't help themselves. Guess we dodged having two Islas in the family, huh? Even now, months later, the story still comes up at family gatherings in a joking way. Hannah tries to laugh along, but there's always that flicker in her eyes, a flash of irritation that reminds me she hasn't truly let it go. And maybe that's why I don't regret a single thing. Time has a way of dulling even the sharpest drama. But in our case, the edges never fully smoothed out. Hannah and I are civil now, polite at birthdays, friendly enough for small talk, but there's this unspoken boundary between us. We don't swap baby clothes, we don't trade parenting tips, and we certainly don't discuss baby names anymore. 6 months after our daughters were born, we had our first Christmas as parents. The family rented a big cabin, the kind with creaky floors and a fireplace that smelled faintly of pine. It should have been magical, and in some ways it was. But I could feel Hannah watching me every time someone gushed over Isla Rose's name. At one point, Rachel leaned over while the kids were playing on the rug and whispered, "You know, this is going to be a family legend someday. 50 years from now, people will still be talking about the name war of 2025. She wasn't wrong. It's funny. When it all started, I thought the fight was about a name. But looking back, I realized it was about something bigger: respect, boundaries, and the idea that motherhood doesn't erase your right to stand up for yourself. Just because we're family doesn't mean I have to roll over and let someone take something that means so much to me. As for the girls, they're blissfully unaware of all of it. To them, they're just cousins, partners in mischief, partners in giggles, partners in crime. Maybe someday they'll hear the story and roll their eyes at how petty the adults were. Maybe they'll laugh about how close they came to sharing a name. Or maybe, years from now, they'll be telling their own kids about the time their moms fought over a name and learn that family drama can be as small as a word, but as big as a lifetime. Either way, every time I tuck Isla Rose into bed and whisper her name, I'm reminded why I fought so hard for it. Because it wasn't just a name, it was hers, and no one else's.